Hi folks, here is a video for our February 2020 collaboration, that is Laura and I. So in this instance, I had my eyes closed and I was listening to her music and to see what visions I received. Now she only sent me like a 1 minute video. I mean, not video, sorry. 1 minute version of her song for the animation. However, I just put that on repeat for 44 minutes exactly. And during which time I received 24 visions and wrote them down. So here we go. Now, a lot of this imagery is, really it's about Laura and I think some of her friends and her spiritual growth and development and transformation. And in particular, it does revolve around Ireland, her native country. Really interesting. So let's get into it. And actually, this video is probably going to stay on like a private channel on YouTube. So, Laura, you might be the only one that sees this. So I'll do the video, and then you can say whether it becomes shared with others. Anywho, let's begin. So the first image I saw was a floating city of light angling or facing itself towards Laura in the upper world. And this city that was, floating above the earth, that it kind of had, sort of a route connected to the earth, or just about to the earth or middle world. It reminded me of a vision I received for her from her own reading, where she's holding the city of the AC, or like this other realm, within her hand, and she is cloaked. Now, speaking of cloaked Laura's, Laura raises her hands ceremoniously, orchestrating the adept version of her avatar. And so, like, she's, this small-scaled human, but like small-scale human, that doesn't sound right. So she, in relation to this massive projection of her avatar, looks smaller, and it's in a cavernous surrounds. So this is in the lower world, and she's on her knees and she's raising her hands, and she's orchestrating this divine, I want to say priestess, but there's, like, it doesn't suggest gender either way, so, just the divine, the cloak is representative in my readings, in a more general sense, of someone who is in the know of, the great mystery, what's behind the veil. The next image is these angelic maidens or women helping souls to ascend to the upper world, that is heaven. Or aka also known as heaven, and that's that one there. And exactly who these female deities are. I'm not sure. Are they? Laura will probably shed some light on that for us. Now, Sol's floating around Laura's avatar with a heart of light in the upper world. Now, I'll quickly mention what the word avatar means in my readings. The term avatar is a more incarnated version of their higher self. There we go. And so in this image, she's kind of has her hands in a prayer-like pose, and she's floating against an expanse of the night sky. So this is very astral plane, upper world, and these spirits floating around this bright white light emanating from her heart. So it looks a bit like certain depictions of the Virgin Mary, but in a more general esoteric sense. Now, next image is okay. So this was semi-photographic, and meaning that this is either has happened or will happen in the three-dimensional world, or is happening. And she looks skyward, standing in the stony crag on top of a mound hill. Now, I've never used the word crag before. Don't know why, it just came to me, and I even googled it, and and it was the perfect word. It just sort of stony outcrop or cliff. Anyway, and her pose, she's standing on top of this hill, and she's kind of between two stones, and this wasn't man-made stony outcrop. This was as if it was coming up from beneath the hill. So no doubt it is connected with the the so-called little people of the mound, or the AC. Excuse my pronunciation of Irish Gaelic. And I don't know if it was just the shape of her hoodie, but her head looked like it was framed by a diamond. And that was it. Then moving on to the next image, she kind of melted or shape-shifted into a silhouetted bird, and every time I looked at it, it would change shape, but it was just another kind of bird. I saw eagle, and then I saw, what else did I write, the crane, or the ibis, or the raven. These, just every time I looked at it. And so this type of bird was amorphous, and that's what the next two images, there's her forming into a bird, and then there's the same bird flying into the sky. And it was very overcast weather, kind of stormy. Next image, Laura as a light in the underworld, or lower realm, reconciling the Aos Sea.
these kings and queens, and they brought two of them across a river. And her, instead of having arms and a face and a head, I just saw her as this emanation of light, bringing these royalty from this underworld, together. There was a king and a queen, and there was this sense of reconciliation, or making amends, or something, bringing these two royal couples or representatives of two, not tribes, but countries or realms of people, meeting them, helping them meet again. Next image, another one of a bird. So what I thought was a raven is actually a phoenix, and it reminded me of the Chinese phoenix. So I looked it up, and there was that sense of union, of yin and yang, and so and rainbow colored, it was a rainbow colored pheasant. And yeah, when I looked it up, I can include the links at the end of the notes to various related information. And I'll mention a little something about the ALC. Again, apologies for pronunciation. They're a supernatural race comparable to the fairies, also known as people of the mounds. Anyway, so yeah, and also in the Chinese mythology, the Chinese phoenix is actually an emblem of all birds' life. I kind of related it more to the feminine, but it's related to all birds. Next one, number 10. She stands in the Irish countryside holding a luminous round form at her heart at twilight. Now, I'll just show you the colourful phoenix. And now there's her standing in the Irish countryside. She stands in the Irish countryside holding a luminous round form. That was also semi-photographic, and it's kind of a transitional image to the next one, which was worshippers around a larger scaled version of that luminous form. So there was a group of figures. They were all wearing similar robes. So these robes, in particular contexts, suggest, more nature worshipping religions, such as, druids and pagan, that sort of thing. So they were all, standing around this, mound, again, but it was just large scale and luminous. Just there. And then in the next one, her hand, with one of them wearing a nun's clothing, looked, very Catholic, raising her hand to her face, almost as if in shame. And so, and then that hand that she's putting up to her face, suggesting shame, was sort of started dematerializing, or turning into this. I want to say ectoplasm. That was just something that kind of came to mind, but it became fluid, fluid flesh. And yeah,
Now, yeah, Laura has some connections with Catholicism, and so does Ireland, and I'm not entirely sure on uh, Irish history, in particular Catholicism. Again, Laura can fill you in if she so chooses to. What's the next thing? Okay. Now This image goes back to the first image of a floating city of light, and the third one with the angelic maidens or female deities. So I thought of the right word. Like I sometimes. Okay, I'll just read it out. The axis mundi connecting heaven and earth. Now, the axis mundi, when I looked it up, also in the show notes, yes, it'll be the first time of those show notes, and and one person will have